Welcome to Transit Talk, a show brought to you by the DCTA, Denton County Transportation Authority, that highlights information about our public transportation. Every week after our show Discover Denton, we will bring you Transit Talk. So after you hear about the things you can do in Denton, you can hear about how you can get there. This week we have Christina Brevard, Marketing and Communications Manager for DCTA, as well as Jared Varner, VP of Transit Operations, talking about, well, DCTA operations. Here is Transit Talk.
I'm here today with Jared Varner, DCTA's Vice President of Transit Operations, who has been with the agency pretty much since inception. He has watched this agency grow with only limited bus service in Denton to becoming a full intermodal transit agency with a 21-mile commuter rail line and many, many bus routes to serve Denton, Highland Village, and Louisville. DCTA operates transit services a little bit differently than some transit agencies. I think that the community would be really interested in hearing how our agency gets the buses on the road and the trains on the track each and every day. So Jared, why don't you first tell us a little bit about how DCTA bus operations is structured?
Thanks, Christina. The DCTA Board of Directors are committed to keeping DCTA a lean and mean agency, so we've decided to outsource some operational functions to the private sector. For instance, a company called First Transit actually provides management services for all of our bus operations. First Transit, as a part of our agreement, has created a subsidiary corporation called Transit Management of Denton County, often referred to as TMDC. And TMDC actually employs the staff. So the bus drivers that you see, the supervisors that you see are actually TMDC employees. Obviously, they're overseen by DCTA administrative staff. Currently, just given the nature of our operation and how spread out we are throughout Denton County, we currently have multiple locations. Operations and administration of bus services actually reside in the Denton landfill. We've been leasing some space at the Denton landfill for quite some time now. Maintenance of our buses is performed at a separate lease facility within the city of Denton. So we've got a strong presence here in Denton.
Okay, that's a really good explanation of how we are structured. That's always one I've struggled with explaining to people. Now, let's talk about the A-train side of the business. Rail operations is a separate contract from bus operations. So why don't you talk a little bit about that?
We currently contract with Herzog Transit Services for operation and maintenance of the A-train. We're in the fortunate position when it was time to launch A-train service that DART and the Fort Worth Transportation Authority had a contract with a private commuter railroad operator. Herzog has been operating TRE for many, many years, and DART, as a governmental entity and a regional partner, was willing to partner with DCTA and allow us to take advantage of the economies of scale and join our operation with the TRE. So we're able to save a great deal of money associated with overhead of personnel, equipment, as well as insurance, operating insurance, and liability insurance. The contract we have with Herzog includes operation of the vehicles, maintaining our fleet, as well as maintaining the right-of-way, the 21-mile railroad. All of these services are performed out of DCTA's Rail Operations and Maintenance Facility, which is located in Louisville. It's a 56,000 square foot facility that was built concurrent with the A-Train project. It houses both Herzog staff as well as DCTA staff. We have a few staff members who are tasked with oversight of the operation, and they're all housed in Louisville.
Well, DCTA provides transit services to member cities of Denton, Louisville, and Highland Village. In addition to those three cities, the agency also provides transit services to the University of North Texas and the North Central Texas College. Why don't you tell us a little bit how the partnership works with NCTC and with UNT?
Both, we have interlocal agreements with NCTC as well as UNT. Both of the agreements are scoped very similarly. We are basically the contract operator for the college and the university. The way it works is the universities collect a transportation fee. That fee from the students is then used to fund our services. At UNT, we provide a tremendous amount of service. We have 26 buses that operate every single day in and around the UNT campus. They provide circulator routes that move around campus. UNT is a very large campus with limited parking, and so we have campus buses that get students from one end of campus to the other. We also have routes that run off campus to off-campus housing complexes that again allow UNT to use their property for buildings and greater density, which is DCTA's, which we prefer over parking lots. NCTC currently has one shuttle that operates between Denton, the Corinth campus, Louisville, and then Flower Mound. So it's basically one route that has one vehicle that operates throughout the day, really connecting all of the major points for NCTC, getting students to their campus in Corinth as well as the new campus in Flower Mound. The way the contracts work, the universities provide the fleet, then they fund the operations and maintenance of those vehicles. They also provide DCTA with a specific amount of money that allows all of their faculty, staff, and students to ride Connect services with no additional fare. So NCTC and UNT students are able to board a Connect bus, show their university identification, and ride basically for free.
But if they want to ride the A train, then we do have a university pass program available, right? Because they cannot ride the A train with their student IDs.
Correct.
Okay. I think that's really important. I think something else to touch on with these two services is that the NCTC shuttle and all UNT shuttle routes are open to the public. You don't have to have a university ID to ride those rides. It's just the same for UNT shuttle. It's the same price as riding a Connect bus. And for the NCTC shuttle, it's a little bit higher fare because it's more of a commuter type service. But they can ride with a local system pass. You know, DCTA has carried nearly 3 million passengers in fiscal year 2012, which is quite an increase over the previous fiscal year. Why don't you talk about some of the major hurdles that the agency has had to overcome in regards to bus and rail operations?
Absolutely. More ridership has brought us more demand. Passengers love the service we provide. They just want more of it. We're continually modifying our schedules based on public input. It's a very difficult line to walk when we're trying to balance the demand of our passengers with service schedules and the obviously the amount of expenses that includes. Another hurdle or challenge that we faced is with our facilities. When DCTA started out, we were very small. We've increased our service a tremendous amount over the last few years, and one thing that hasn't kept up with that to date is our facilities. We've been leasing facilities in Denton at the solid waste facility, which is an area where you do not necessarily want to maintain your fleet, but we've been doing so. We've got a tremendous staff that has done a good job out there, but they've deserved a new facility for some time now. So the way we're clearing that hurdle is we've received some funds from the Federal Transit Administration to build a new facility. This facility will be more conducive to efficient service as well as clean vehicles, and it'll also allow us to consolidate our operations. Currently, we have operations and administrative staff in one facility and bus maintenance in the other. So we'll be able to bring all of those together for a much more efficient operation. Another hurdle that we're having is that we're consistently expanding the amount of bus service we provide, and so it's very difficult to to be staffed up for that level of service. So we're falling behind right now as far as hiring bus operators are concerned. So we're always trying to bring more people on board, trying to get more operators employed with transit management of Denton County, so that we can keep increasing service. But that is something we're struggling with at the moment. We also, the aggressive development schedule outlined by our board of directors required the agency to begin rail operations using leased vehicles. These were the RDCs, as they're referred to, were built in the 1950s. And so one hurdle that we had was implementing service with very old technology and then transitioning to what everyone sees now as our Statler GTW, which is brand new. It was a great opportunity for the agency, allowed us to start service on time, but that was a challenge that we faced, and I think the passengers appreciate the transition they've seen there.
Yeah, I know I hear a lot of compliments about the Statler vehicles, the smooth ride, the nice interior. It's very roomy. Nothing but good things heard from passengers. Now, as our ridership continues to grow, how will DCTA transit operations change to continue to meet the demand?
Well, first of all, we continue to listen to our customers. DCTA staff is very accessible and takes every comment we receive seriously. We have multiple avenues at which we collect customer feedback, and again, it's taken very seriously with most comments responded to within 24 hours. One way that we anticipate continue to grow the system and evaluate where we are our service modifications, which we do twice a year in August and January. And when we do these changes, we listen to the customers, both riders and non-riders. We do everything we can to see what we need to do to appeal to folks who currently aren't riding the bus or the train. We also consider ridership trends. That's one thing we do to make sure we're keeping with demand is to analyze where we are, where we need to be, and take data into account. We also, when we're looking at planning out service changes, we look at land development patterns. Obviously, a whole lot's going on in downtown Denton. A lot's going on at the western part of Denton, as well as Louisville. We've got a great economy in North Texas, and so we're always looking at how land is being developed, the densities that support transit, and then we focus our resources in areas where we think it'll be successful. Another thing we intend to do as ridership grows and the service grows is to consistently review our staffing levels. Really, I'm focusing on customer service, maintenance, and supervision. We need to make sure that we're staffed appropriately so that we can ensure a positive customer experience. Also, we've got to make sure our fleet meet the standards of our passengers. So we'll continue with an eye towards maintaining our fleet in a state of good repair and replacing our fleet when it warrants. So our plan is to keep on schedule with fleet replacement and expand the fleet with appropriate vehicles whenever necessary.
Wow. Well, I would say that our agency's transit operations structure and all that it entails is definitely more complicated than one would think. I appreciate you coming in today to provide a better understanding of how the rubber meets the road and how we get those buses and the trains going. And again, thanks for coming in today. But that's all for today's DCTA Transit Talk. I'm Christina Brevard, connecting you to the ins and outs of public transportation within your community. For more information regarding DCTA's services and route and schedule information, please visit ridedcta.net. Thanks for listening.
And there you have it. That was this week's episode of Transit Talk, brought to you by the DCTA. A big thanks to Christina Brevard and Jared Varner. An extra thanks to Gravity Feed for providing the music. I'm Jake Laughlin, your host. Join us next week on Transit Talk, where we will be talking more transit. And in the meantime, go explore Denton.